Gaurav, you can open your mic.
मला फक्त ती पीपीटी वाचण्यापुरतं पाहिजे होतं. माझ्या मोबाईल मध्ये आहे ना पीपीटी ओपन होत नाही.
One second, Kanishka. One second.
पीपीटी ओपन
We are on live. One second, Kanishka. One second. We are on live. One second, Kanishka. One second.
Yes, ma'am, we are live now.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall I start?
Yes, ma'am, we are live now.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, one and all. Welcome to all of you in international webinar, which is organized by PTVA's Parle Tilak Vidyalaya Association, M.L. Dhanuka College of Commerce, Vile Parle. In COVID-19, whatever the effect which we have seen today, so I thought that why not go for the impact of this COVID-19 on business as well on human resources. So fortunately, we got here 4 different persons, resource persons from abroad as well India. So about webinar and our college, our eminent personality and principal of M.A. Dhankar College of Commerce, Dr. Gnaneshwar Doke sir. He will tell you about our college and the webinar. Sir, over to you.
Hello, thank you, ma'am. This is Dr. D.M. Doke, Principal, Dhanukar College, Vile Parle, Mumbai. I welcome all of you on behalf of Parle Tilak Vidyalaya Association and on my behalf. Parle Tilak Vidyalaya Association is a parent body governing our M.L. Dhanukar College of Commerce. Parle Tilak Vidyalaya Association is established in 1920 to commemorate Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak. We are entering into 100th year from this, to be more precise, from 9 June 2020, we will be starting our centenary year. Dhanukar College of Commerce is established in 1960. Then it was called as Parle College of Commerce. After handsome donation from the industrialist Mahadev Lakshman Dhanukar College, Mahadev Lakshman Dhanukar, the college is renamed as Mahadev Lakshman Dhanukar College of Commerce. Parle Tilak Vidyalaya Association has got many branches. There are several schools, Marathi medium schools, English medium schools, ICSE school, affiliated and state board affiliated. We have got 3 colleges imparting education from junior college to PhD. Dhanukar College is basically in commerce. We have a junior college in commerce, undergraduate and postgraduate courses in commerce, then more specific courses in accounting and finance, business management. Then we have courses in mass media. Then we have courses in information technology. We have postgraduate course in accountancy, management, information technology, and also PhD in business policy and administration. More than 5,000 students are taking benefit of this 60-year-old institution. Coming back to the webinar, after introduction of a Parle Tilak Vidyalaya Association, as a student of statistics, I have been learning that there are several factors affecting business, which ultimately leads to ups and downs. Some factors are random in nature, such as famine, earthquake, floods. Hence, these variations or variations in the business are called as random or irregular variations, and that we have been teaching for years together. We also say these variations are not predictable, neither controllable. In the list of these random factors, one more factor we have been adding only theoretically, that is pandemic or epidemics. The variations in the business due to epidemic, we just wrote as a part of theory. But our generation, unfortunately now, have seen, will see, or will suffer due to the variations caused by pandemic. And to give you brief idea, give you details idea, what will be the scenario post COVID-19 from the different aspects of business as well as employment. We have four speakers from four different parts of the world. We have one speaker from USA, another from Mexico, third is from South Korea, and one more from India. So I will introduce you today's first speaker. First speaker is Gaurav Puniwala. He is BTech in Electrical Engineering, minor in Computer Science. He is IITian, IIT Bombay in 2015, and he was a topper in the institute with 9.92 CPI. He is a software engineer by profession, research and application development for deep neural networks and artificial intelligence, Samsung Electronics since 2015. He is also president of IIT Alumni Association Korea since 2019, president and instructor swing dancing the Holy Dance Club since 2016 up to 2018. At this point, let me take opportunity to thank Indian Accounting Association, to thank Dr. Kanchan Fulmari to take initiative for this webinar, and also to thank my governing body, Parajat Vidyalaya Association, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, and over to you, Puniwala. Gaurav, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, sir. Um, I was just introduced, I work at Samsung Electronics in Korea, and like a lot of you must be knowing, the response of Korea regarding the current COVID situation has been amazing and has been praised throughout the world.
Yeah.
So, as part of the IIT Alumni Association over here in Korea, we have been working with the embassy in Korea to try and see what exactly was done right over here and try to implement the similar things in India. I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah, you are visible. Yes.
Um, okay. So, like I mentioned, we are trying to study the situation over here in South Korea and try to implement similar steps in India and try to combat the current problem. So, what was done right by Korea? First of all, diagnosis. They focused a lot on trying to identify every single person who was affected by the disease. They created multiple testing facilities. They made sure that money was never an issue for the testing, and they did a crackdown on any fake medicines or fake testing facilities. And while testing people, they made sure that other people were not coming in contact with the patients by splitting hospitals in different sections with a respiratory tract treatment clinic and other clinic. Also, many of the common diseases were just diagnosed over the phone. So there are some innovative facilities that they introduced, like they had drive-through clinics in which people just drove in and they were tested right out of their car and they could walk out. There were walk-in clinics where the people who were testing them were situated behind glass doors that kept them safe and allowed the testing in a very quick and easy manner. The main source of the disease had been immigration. So what they did was the Indian Identity Act is actually inspired by the act that was created in South Korea, and they kept a 2-week quarantine period for anyone who entered the country. They were forced to download this app, and the app kept track of where they are going. And during this period, they were provided with all the food and accommodation that they would need so that anyone entering the country does not bring the disease along with them. Social distancing was implemented in Korea, but in a quite different way than what is being done in India. There was no complete shutdown at all in Korea. yet they were able to control the spread internally, despite being one of the countries who were affected in the initial part of the outbreak. In January, February itself, they had a few thousand cases, but even now it's around just 10,000 cases, and there are less than 10 cases per day these days. So what they did right was they made compulsory quarantine for anyone who had come in contact with infected people, and for all the public locations, they made masks compulsory. In the public transports, they provided hand sanitizers. They closed down non-essential services, but kept offices and essential services open. And masks were provided by the government, but they were rationed by the national ID number. So there was no hoarding or price gouging in that regard. So this is an example. There were hand sanitizers right as you enter a public bus. The thing which the government did probably the best was their information dissemination. So all the patients that were confirmed to be positive, they were interviewed, and all their family members and close contacts were interviewed to find out every single person that they might have come in contact with. Moreover, they were even tracked through national health insurance usage, their mobile GPS, their credit card, CCTVs, and anyone who they might have come in contact with was made to quarantine compulsorily. And if they broke quarantine, they were fined or even jailed. An app was created for spreading this information of where these affected people have traveled. And anyone who suspected they might have come in contact were also tested for free. The government also created fact-checking website, so they prevented fake of any spread of any fake information among the public. And the travel history of the people was linked with the national health insurance. So whenever somebody went to see a doctor for any cause, the doctor could see their travel history and he could guess what's the likelihood of them actually being impacted by the disease. So there were chat rooms which were set up to ask any questions about the disease. There were flyers posted in many public places, subways, train stations, restaurants. There were flyers which were sent through messages to people. And then the economic stimulus, the main economic stimulus that Korea did was not shutting down at all. While that might be difficult in India, in Korea, because of the massive contact tracing that they did, the businesses were not highly impacted as much as in India. So even then, they provided tax rebates and small business loans with very low interest rates. The government paid emergency pay to all the poor people who needed it, and there was below a specific wage band, there was a government just gave out money to the people. As long as if you lost your job due to the pandemic, the government gave out money. In general, in Korea, the businesses seem to be least impacted throughout the world. However, there still seem to be long-term impacts. Um, the main problem will be that there'll be a lack of demand in the long run, and which is causing the businesses to have a excess of supply. And right now, the main solution that the governments are going for is just trying to add more money to the economy to solve that problem. While the government did those steps, the businesses also have been key in trying to control the disease in Korea. So first of all, they added the general measures that they did. They just made sure that the people were doing safe practices. One key way of spread of the disease is through contact with the same surface, mainly elevator buttons and door handles. So to solve that problem, they applied these antiviral films on the elevator buttons so that anyone pressing the button does not come in contact with the germs of another person who might have touched it previously. They placed sanitizers in key locations, and masks were compulsory for all public places within businesses. They had mandatory health verification forms, so you had to report to the company if you had gone to any high risk area, which would be any very public place or a place where there has been a previously reported incident. there was temperature monitoring at the entrance of most buildings. So if you had a high temperature, you were just not allowed to enter the building, and you were straight taken for testing in case the doctors deemed that is essential. And like in India, a lot of work from home was being done. All businesses promoted people to just stay at home if they could, and even if you're coming to office, they suspended all non-essential meetings and business trips. So here is a example of a temperature monitoring camera. Every person entering the building, their temperature was noted. Apart from these general measures, they also made sure that the people were not coming into contact with each other by marking lift floors. Now, this is a very simple idea, but it is not something that just comes up unless you think of it specifically. On the lift floors, they had marked where only 4 people could enter a lift at one time. It was just easy to implement, but it prevented crowding and people touching each other unnecessarily. In cafeterias, they removed the seating from one side of the table so that whenever you're eating, there's no one sitting right in front of you. So while you speak, your germs don't go in their food. In restaurants and cafeterias, they promoted takeout menus, so people were just eating separately to begin with. So this is the sort of arrangements that they did. They had isolation cubes at different cafeterias so that you don't stay too close to other people. Apart from this, the questionnaires that were, the company itself tried to track where the employees have been, and it sent you questionnaires regarding where you have been. If all your answers showed that you were safe, you could attend the office, and if it was doubtful, there was a primary health checkup done, and if it was still doubtful, then you were given a 4-day official leave. Beyond that, they did not need to test for every single case, but even if there's a little bit of doubt, they just gave 4 days leave so that the rest of the employees can be safe. Just by using these small steps, it doesn't need to be very extreme. South Korea was able to tackle the coronavirus pandemic quite effectively. So at IIT Alumni Association in Korea, we are working with the Indian Embassy to make sure these best practices can be studied and shared with the people of India. And we hope that spreading this information, we'll be able to control the spread of the disease within India itself. We hope to achieve some good results, and even if we can save a few lives, I think this will have been a worthwhile effort. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now our next resource person, that is Ajinkya Bhasme from India, very much from India. Dr. Doshi sir, over to you. Principal sir. Sir, please open your mic. Now the second resource person from India, Mr. Ajinkya Bhasme. Sir, open your mic, please. Sir.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Can you hear me?
Our
Yeah.
second resource person, Ajinkya Bhasme.
Second resource person is Ajinkya Bhasme. He is BTech in Chemical Engineering, IIT Bombay, Senior Manager, HR, Culture, Training, Analytics and UPL Limited. Incidentally, he is a chemical engineer, but he is a writer also. That is a big surprise. And writing is not in chemical technology. Author of Indian psychological horror bestseller books as a Death Stared Back and When the Devil Whispers, based on true Indian story. When the Devil Whispers, soon to be turned into web series with a large production house. Author of London corporate bestseller Diversity and Inclusivity. Scientist for 5 years in Dr. Reddy's lab. He is startup analyst and evaluator for DRL. Extolled by Padma advocate Ujjwal Nikam. Internationally celebrated literary works. 4 national level awards for public speaking. Dance instructor for 10 years. 8 national level awards for choreography, mentor, and teacher to Dance India, Dance Lil Masters Season 4. Media coverage of over 100 plus popular newspapers and TV channels. Frequent guest for radio interviews with Radio Mirchi, Radio FM, and All India Radio. He is a versatile personality. He has a certification in clinical psychology and behavioral psychology. Gold medalist in mathematics and statistics. Chemical award readies for young achievers winners. So we have a chemist, we have a clinical psychologist, and we have an author for bestseller books. So over to you, Ajinkya.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Dr. Dokhe. Thank you, Dr. Fulmali, for inviting me. I will just share my screen. Just let me know whenever you can see the screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. Hello, everybody. And I hope I'm not too shabbily dressed for the occasion. I see most of you are dressed very well. I would first like to take you back on April 16, 2020. This was somewhere about a month into the lockdown in India. I was actually avoiding calls from a guy named Vishal because for some reason he wanted me to take care of his dog, and I was not willing to do that. So I had been dodging his calls, and he was constantly calling me from different numbers. Now on April 16, I received such a call, and I answer that call, and he says, "Hi, I'm Vishal." And I immediately started yelling at him, and I couldn't recognize him by the sound of his voice that it was probably not the same Vishal. And then he said that, "Oh no, you're mistaken. I'm not what you assume I am. I am actually a director and producer of a Hotstar web series, and a very, very, very popular film, feature film." And I thought that why would some producer or a director call me? So I thought this is completely a scam, and I hung up. He called me again, and he is like, "Before you hang up, I just wanted to praise. I finished your book, and it's a wonderful book, and I just wanted to praise you for that." The idea of telling you this is, this meeting would have been a face-to-face meeting. In usual circumstances, he would have called through his agent, and then I would have been asked to come into a restaurant or a coffee house or something, and then we would be face to face discussing, and it wouldn't be so difficult for me to believe that this is the same person. I had to actually do a lot of background check to believe that yes, that was actually the Vishal that he claimed he was. Which brings me to today's topic: COVID-19 effects of HR and entertainment industry. What you see here is a meme guide um, to this entire scenario, and this is what I call social distancing. You stay away from people. And a fair warning to everybody: To ensure clear communication with this social media generation, I would be using hashtags and pop culture references throughout the presentation. I will also be shamelessly promoting myself through the slides, and you can notice my Instagram handle at the top right corner of the slides. And any ideas or themes are not subject to further explanation by me. And if you have any questions, I would request you to write them on a piece of paper and Google the questions answers. I'm just kidding. You can ask me all the questions. I will need your undivided attention at all points in time. Any children left unattended, or if I see you distracted, which I can, um, we will be confiscating all those children and enrolling them in Emelda Anukar's young children education program. And if you are already distracted and scrolling on Instagram, I'd just ask you to follow me. Today we'll cover a topic which is of grave importance, and it has become a problem in the entire world. No, I'm not talking about teenage pimples. I'm not talking about TikTok videos. I'm also not talking about poor Tinder matches that you are all receiving. It's of more pressing importance, and it has shaken everybody to its core. It has shaken the very foundation of um, of our modern day civilization. And this is coronavirus 19, COVID-19. I am going to cover what HR has to do with coronavirus. Usually, HRs are the most notorious people in business. We we are usually assumed to be uh, a lot of things. So let me clarify first to whoever does not know what an HR person is. Not all of us are recruiters. Not everybody can give you a job. You can send me all the resumes you want. I can do nothing with them because I'm not a recruiter. There are operations in HR, there is digital HR, there is analytics, there is learning and development, there is culture, there is training, there is coaching, there is payroll. All these things are a part of HR, which are not recruitment. Second point, not everybody is bad at math. I am a gold medalist in mathematics. I am in HR. I do heavy analytics. So, yes, I understand numbers. Uh, no, we don't do Rangoli competitions. Rangoli competitions is not something that comes under my purview, although we do it sometimes, but that's not a regular part of my job. And yes, we are scary to approach. You may have found it very difficult to approach HR people, but I can assure you, from the point of view of a person who has studied clinical psychology and has studied behavioral genetics and behavioral psychology, you can easily approach me, and there would be no judgment from my side. What we need to understand in this scenario is that employees, students, or human beings are a part of community. We often love to hang out in groups. We love to see people, even if we are not social, even if we are selectively social, or even if we are introverted. There's nothing called as introverted. And on the cusp of introversion, we still enjoy a sense of presence of another human being beside us, which is why there is commitment, which is why there is companionship, which is why there is friendship. Now what has happened during this situation is people who used to be a part of a community, they're now feeling insecure and cynical because of these few things. Their regular life is disrupted. You can no longer go out and watch movies. You can't order a bucket full of chicken, or you can't order pizza online. I mean, you can, but there is this impending fear that you have that something or the other will happen. And do you really want to eat that pizza with that fear? Anyway, the social interactions have become limited. You're no longer able to see your friends or spend as much time with them, or visit them, visit your family, visit your friends. um, your resources are capped. You are working with limited resources. By limited resources, I mean when you are in an office environment, during that environment, you always have somebody to help you. You always have IT issues which you can quickly get resolved by the IT department. You have no bandwidth problems. You have a working cafeteria. You can anytime go there and eat. Um, and you have electricity the whole time. You don't have to worry about gas bill. You don't have to worry about electricity bill. You don't have to worry about what you're going to cook. Now you're working with limited resources, and you're all affected by crisis. You're all affected directly or indirectly. Unfortunately, for some people, some of their family members would be infected with COVID, and I hope and pray that everything would be all right. And some of us who are indirectly affected are those of us who have to sit at home and operate from our houses, and it feels like we are imprisoned, and the movement is restricted. Uh, the psychology behind that of restriction of movement and fear and being affected by crisis is comes from a place which is deep within our unconscious, not really subconscious. So three levels of consciousness: conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. So deeply rooted within our unconscious state of mind, where we all feel that this restriction is not really a great restriction from for us, and not in any form of facilitative way at all. One of the major things that I wanted to share is, as an employee and as an HR and as a part of a community, you would have realized that the office timings of 8 to 9 to 5, or say 8 to 6, or even college timings have slowly disappeared, right? For especially for office people, employees who are working from home, their start timings and end timings are no longer monitored. They're no longer disciplined. You can start at any time and you can end at any time, which also means that 9 o'clock you would find yourself frequently attending phone calls, frequently responding to emails, frequently responding to messages, even though this is outside of your working time. Now, as a part of an employer who employs people, it could also mean that I have an unnecessary or an unexplained fear that if an employee is spending lot of hours or a lot of time at house doing household chores like cooking, cleaning, or washing the dishes, or even managing children, it could get really difficult. But it is also removing the time of work into doing something which is non-value added for the business. So this is something that the employer is trying to gauge and is trying to assess the situation and say that working longer hours is fine at this moment. But we'll get back to it. Is it really fine or not? So in this situation, what my boss essentially thinks I am doing is this. He thinks that I switched on the laptop and I'm just hitting the buttons with a broom. Um, what the HR think I am doing is this, that I am continuously sleeping and again switched on the laptop, went off to sleep, and do not care what is happening in the world. What my family thinks I am doing is I am saying that I'm working the whole time, but I am actually playing games on my computer or playing games on my mobile phone. But what I'm actually doing is this. I am cooking, I'm ironing, I'm cleaning, I'm managing children, I'm doing the dishes, I'm doing laundry, I am responding to emails, and a whole lot of my day goes into this. Goes into hearing all the people on video calls saying this. Am I visible to you? Can you hear me now? Can you see me now? Now, is it visible now? And they keep adjusting their cameras somehow, and they keep struggling with technology altogether. But coincidentally, just to tell you guys, productivity of people has actually gone up. You wouldn't believe it, but people have become more productive. We wouldn't have realized that we have the capacity of multitasking, and we are doing it quite efficiently. And one of the reasons why we are doing it efficiently is because of the fact how our brain is divided. Our brain is divided into two hemispheres. And when we are operating on something that requires a lot of concentration, we use only one side of the brain. When we are doing something creative like cooking or cleaning, or something which does not require assessing and analyzing information, we are essentially using the other side of the brain, the other hemisphere of the brain. Right now, what you are doing is you're assessing, oh, I have so much of ration left in my house, I need to buy stuff, I need to plan how to get there, I need to wear masks, I need to make my way through the crowd in such a way, I need to time it perfectly that there are not many people in the supermarket, I need to take care of my 3-year-old child. I do not have children, I am a single person living alone in my apartment, I'm going crazy, but I get a lot of you. I think most of the parents by this point in time are already bored of having their working children around, saying that till how long are you going to stay here because you're eating my food and now you're starting to annoy me. So you get back to your own um, life as soon as possible. And but having said that, we are essentially using both the hemispheres of the brain quite productively. All while working, we are doing all these things and multitasking. So this has made us more productive. A fun fact is, from a 9 to 5 job, the only hours that people are productive in a 9 hour work or a 8.5 or a 10 hour work environment, only 3 hours. People are productive only for 3 hours during the whole day. So you might as well cut short the entire duration of work, make it 3 hours, and uh, the amount of work that people will do in 3 hours is equivalent to the amount of work people will do in 9 hours. And then, as an HR, we have started to realize that this is the fact. So, what we have done, productivity, we have productivity measuring tools. We actually measure productivity through timestamps. We actually measure productivity through in non-invasive methods. Now, there are a lot of things that you could do. You could track people, what they are doing, how they are doing it, but that is very invasive. And the psychology of the employee during this time should not be that my company is monitoring me or micromanaging me. The psychology of the employee has to be that the company is helping me. They are aiding me, they are supporting me, and they want me to feel better. They want me to be successful, and they are helping me through all these interventions. What we have actually seen now is through digital interventions, we can create that sense of idea around people that you are actually in a safe environment and you're not going to be affected a lot. One of the companies which are very famous, I'm sure you might have heard of this company, it's called TCS. They have actually given work from home to their employees till 2025. And this is because of the fact that they have realized that their employees are double the amount of productivity that they used to be when they came to office. Now they have given work from home till 2025. Airbnb has unfortunately had to lay off a lot of employees, and that happens in businesses which are non-essential. People are not using Airbnb anymore. People are not using a lot of other non-essential businesses anymore, and they are suffering. And because of this suffering, they have to lay off the employees because they don't have enough money to pay them. But what you can do here is, as an HR, you can convert the bad experiences into good experiences. Now, how do you do that? A case study for Airbnb would tell you that what Airbnb did is they maintained a repository of the people who have been laid off, and they have used their skills, used their resumes, and they are helping these people to get another alternative jobs according to their skill set. Now, what you have done here is you have actually lost an employee, but you are being empathetic towards the employee, and you are helping them get another job, which is excellent for a company. What digital interventions also entail is, how do you digitally support employees? Are you increasing their bandwidth? Are you giving them free SIM cards? Are you offering them some data plan through which they can use their internet? Are you offering them bucket load of masks and sanitizer? Are you offering them medical support? Are you giving them an extra medical insurance which covers COVID-19? Are you also protecting their families? through digital interventions, are you also coming up with some kind of community sense? Let's see. So do you think it's a great news for HR? Variable pay and bonus season is around. We need to pay a lot of our employees. What we need to do is step one, say that the company has made no money. Step two, pay out nothing. Give no variable pay to the employees and ask the employees to donate their part of the salary because Corona. And step three, blame everything on the Corona. The entire economy has collapsed down. The entire economy has fallen down. As Gaurav said before me, South Korea has done a commendable job not to stop any business. Business continuity of major businesses was ensured, but we here are not in a very great shape, and a lot of us are finding some situations that are completely unrelated, and we are blaming everything on Corona. Do you think is the right approach? As an HR, I can tell you, no HR is going to think that this is the right approach unless the company is really not making money. For me, I work in a company called UPL Limited. We come under business essentials. We do agrochemicals. So whatever food you eat, it's bug free, it's healthful for you, it gives you more yield. That's entirely because of us. That's entirely because of UPL. Without us, the food would be rotten. The food would not have longer shelf life. The food would be infested with insects, and a lot of things would go wrong in the supply chain of how you are consuming everything today. So we come under business essentials, and our businesses are running efficiently, if not smoothly be the right word, efficiently. So we as an HR are not doing this for our employees. Our businesses are right on, and we take care of our employees, and we want them to feel that they are safe. So we are not doing this. So do we really need any interventions? I've already told you that things are running safe. You guys are taking care of yourself. You guys can do everything. You're awesome. Typical HR sentences have used that, yeah, employee, yeah, variable pay, yes, everything. But can we let you be by yourself completely, or you'd end up being this? You start doing yoga and then you end up getting drunk. Um, Essentially what has happened now is, because of removal from community, now you are feeling isolated, now you're feeling lonely, now you're feeling the need, you suddenly started spending so much of time with your family that they have started to get on your nerves. Imagine in a 9 to 5 job, or in college, or in offices, or in any lectures, when you the entire part of your day, about 80% of your day, like awake day, 80% of your awake day is spent with somebody who is not your family. 80% of your awake day is spent with people who are either your colleagues, your teachers, or your friends, or your mates, or anything but your family. And now suddenly that role has completely reversed, and you're spending about 100% of the time with your family, except for few minuscule moments when you're going out and collecting your food and supplies. So you realize that this big change in how the community, how a person is being taken out of a community and put in an environment which is entirely new. And this causes a lot of things to people which are completely psychological. They haven't changed anything much, but they have changed your psychology. They have changed your behavior. They have changed your perception. Something what we call as resistance to change. For example, biggest example I can give you is Facebook suddenly tomorrow changes its UI, user interfaces change. Facebook, from the blue and white thing, everything is very big, everything is like all the pictures are coming in between, and the feed is down, and everything is like upside down. All the things have changed. You will feel irritated, you will feel annoyed. Even if you are a very open-minded person, you would feel annoyed, because that is your inherent genetic buildup of resistance to change. And how do we ensure that this resistance to change is accepted by our employees and is accepted by our people in a way which is simple, in a way which is easy for us to implement. We don't want to do any rocket science here. We want simple implementations. What has happened because of removal of community is that people have started to get fearful. They fear everything. They fear they might be losing their job. They fear they might not get a lot of their salary. They might fear a lot of things. I Can I request somebody to please mute their mic? Yes, thank you. Um, People are stressed. They are stressed about a lot of situations, that whether or not me or my family would be affected by corona. They have increased sense of anxiety, which is very bad. Increased sense of anxiety makes you very jittery. It makes you extra energetic sometimes when it's not essential. Sometimes you are fighting with your family, your spouse, your kid, your parents. You're fighting with them for unnecessary reason, and nobody is supposed to be blamed here. It's because of increased anxiety. You also have low energy. You're feeling lethargic. You have a negative shift in perspective. When will this stop? When will this end? Will it ever get back to normal? And then you have altered priorities. When during office hours your entire focus is, okay, I need to finish my work, and at 5 o'clock I need to go home, or okay, I need to do this, and this is my task for this week, and I need to finish la da da, all that list. Now your priorities are, okay, I need to finish this, but I also need to cook in between, I also need to wash the dishes, I also need to clean my house, I need to answer to these emails, I need to make sure that my kid is being taken care of. If you have very young children, I am very sorry for you, because very difficult to take care of them throughout the day. And I can understand that all these things are very relatable and they may happen. So in times of these, what an HR can do of an organization, how can HR make you feel comfortable in your personal life and in your professional life? How do we enable you? Because right now, we cannot do the blame game. Otherwise, the employee is completely going to be removed from the sense of community, from being proud of the organization that they work for, and they are going to be very unproductive when, even now, and even when they go back to work, because they'll have this mindset that company has done nothing for me. So what, as a progressive HR, what we are trying to do is this. We are trying to answer to all these. So now I have just two adult slides in this presentation, two grown-up slides, this one and the next one. I promise you the other slides are going to be more fun. The fear, stress, and increased anxiety we are going to tackle by building your resilience. How do we build your resilience? Is through hardcore training and learning and development. We provide you positive psychology material. We provide you everything from what you need to be stress free, how to manage stress, how to tackle it. I personally take Instagram live sessions on how you behave, why you behave, and how can you change that behavior in adults, especially somebody who is older than 28 years old. Um, it's very difficult to change behavior, because by then you are already what you are. And but there are methods to change adult behavior, and I essentially focus my entire energy on how do you build resilience, and internally how do you feel good. Once you start feeling good yourself, the other people, other employees, and your family members, the environment that you're put in essentially starts getting more and more positive. Now, I am a person who sells books also for living. And let me tell you, the book business is not a profitable business. I would rather have you give me some chiller, and I would enjoy that rather than selling my books online, because it's a very, very difficult business to be in. And that essentially comes with a lot of baggage around it. And I need to constantly focus my energy on many things altogether. So I particularly believe in this fact that there is a universe, and the universe is watching everything. And if you throw a lot of positivity in your environment, if you throw a lot of positive energy in yourself, some of it is bound to hit you back. Good things are going to happen to you in some way or the other. We build resilience in the form of training from professors from Harvard. We build resilience from professors from extremely reputed universities, extremely great psychologists, and we make sure that we connect with our employees ever so often to ask them how they are feeling. Now we tackle other parts of it, like increased anxiety, low energy, and negative shift in perspective by building an online sense of community. How do we build an online sense of community? How do you feel when you go to college? You feel that you're a part of a family. You feel that you're part of a group. You feel that you belong somewhere, right? And as human beings, you always try to find that space, find that slot where you can fit in properly. We are doing this through creating an online community of, say, Facebook podcasts, LinkedIn podcasts, or LinkedIn live sessions, reaching out to people, creating a group of people where you can just share gossip and non-work talks. Now there's a thin line between overdoing it and not doing it at all. People need to feel that they belong to your company. People need to feel that they belong to your organization. So, and people also need to feel that, why is HR making me have lunch meetings, and why is HR making me have coffee break sessions online? This makes no sense. This is absolutely a stupid idea. uh, we need to find somewhere in between, a path which leads to the perfect amount of intervention where people don't feel that we are taking away time from their family. People now would want to spend time with their family more than ever, rather than just sitting at home and just crunching numbers on their laptop. They want to spend quality time, not the frustrated time with your family. So in order to do that, we have this golden hours where we don't do any business, where we don't do any meetings, where we are not going to trouble office people at all, trouble any employees at all. That time, only that particular group on Yammer or WhatsApp or SAP or whatever platform that you're using, LinkedIn, anything, that particular time is dedicated to celebrating all those people. It is time to do gossip. It's time to say that, oh, did you realize what she was wearing the other day? It's that essential time to create that the office is still functioning, that everything belongs to one big community. And we do that through a lot of, Facebook as well, personal messages, personal chat windows. It nowadays, social media is the best platform to build an online sense of community. How do we tackle negative shift in perspective and altered priorities? We want to keep our employees engaged through tasks without micromanaging them. So we throw competitions. We throw competitions who and not compulsory competitions. If you want to participate in them, you participate in them. And if you don't want to participate, you don't participate in them. So one of the best ideas of competition is the worst looking cake. What this does is it will make sure that you have leveled the playing field. You have not said that you need to be extremely good at cooking or baking. It doesn't say that you need to have an oven or a microwave, anything. We just want to see how bad a cake you can make. The cake has to look extremely inedible. People get riled up with this and they come up with ideas of the ugliest looking piece of cake, and they immediately engage. And in that engagement also comes work engagement. Once you are engaged with a bunch of employees, with your team members, involuntarily you have created a relationship which can go longer, and then you can engage with them more. So this is what we are doing for building community. We are doing video calls. Instead of doing just audio calls, video calls are very, very good way to see what people look like. Or you'd realize 2 months later, your boss has gray hair and everything, and you suddenly stopped recognizing them. Like I did not recognize Vishal's voice. Um, that would happen. So video calls once or twice a week. We don't want to do it too many. A lot of organizations are doing compulsory coffee hours, compulsory video hours, compulsory this. We don't want to do that. That will become micromanaging people. Like I said, we are engaging them in competitions like this cake competition, or we are also engaging them in ideathons where you can give us excellent ideas. We will help you create a business plan and a business opportunity out of those ideas. And then eventually, if your idea is selected, we will enable you completely with finance, with the business, with all support that you want to start up this complete idea as your own. You will be the CEO of this daughter company or whatever. Like I said, motivating through tasks. We in my company we are doing UPIL Live, which is we are doing a question and answer session with people not just who are leaders but who are at a lower level of seniority, who are still working, so that they also feel that they are included. There is a very big saying and very effective saying, and I think it's very relevant to today. Your company is as successful as the junior most employee's happiness quotient. If your junior most employee is happy in your organization, then your entire organization is going to be very productive. Try it out, and I can assure you, your revenue will increase by folds. And we are also involved in success stories. We take video lectures from people who are not just leaders but people actually who are going to shop floor, to factories, and who are still working out of industry. So what have we begun to notice? We have actually begun to notice that most of the jobs can be done from home. People can work from home. There's no compulsion that they need to come from 9 to 5 to office like TCS did. A lot of employers are thinking whether this work from home can become the new normal. People need and feel supported. People need to feel supported, and they need help with technology. Now, a lot of generation gap is visible. Younger generation, the millennials, the Generation Z, all of them are very advanced in technology. We know how to use it. It's intuitive for us. But older generation may not be as intuitive. So as an employer, as an HR, we need specific training interventions for those people who want to be trained on how to do video conferences, how to take live interviews, how to do meetings online, how to manage your team online, how to create task charts, how to create an environment where online everything is correct. Now you have an year-end appraisal discussion season, and everything has to be done online. So what if you want to give a negative feedback to somebody? It's so easy to escape from all these situations when you're doing it virtually. So you need to train people on that. We have started to realize that most of the high paid jobs are maybe not essential, and a lot of daily wage workers need to be appreciated more. This is the time when you have started realizing the importance of your kambali bai, your importance of your jhaduwala, your importance of your gardener, the importance of your driver, and all the domestic help. You have started to realize their importance, because everything you have to do by yourself, everything you're doing by yourself. You started to realize the importance of education and healthcare. We need to realize the fact that the money that we spend on buying an IPL team or an IPL team member also, we need to put that money and direct it into more productive causes like healthcare and education. While I'm saying that I'm not saying that these are not important. I'm saying that yes, you can do that, but you can channelize that money in a better fashion. And I also want to ensure that we will come out of this. In fact, there are a lot of new advancements in medicine. I used to work as a scientist for 5 years in a pharmaceutical company, so I know that favipiravir is one drug that is being tested for clinical trials, and hopefully by October 2020 we would have a correctional drug and a vaccine at hand. So, is this going to be the new normal for us? Maybe, may not be. But we know for sure that when this lockdown ends, things are not going to be back to what they were before. People are going to take a lot of time to get back to what they were before. But as HR and as employers have realized, a lot of things can be done from home. People can be more productive from home. We want to shape the entire industry in a fashion where we are not stick up, or we are not stuck up in a place, or we are not inflexible enough to realize that yes, a lot of jobs do not need 9 to 5. A lot of jobs can be done with flexi working hours. You don't have to come to the office every day. You don't need to work on Saturdays. All of these things we have started to realize now. So what about the entertainment industry? Jinke, you have not spoken about the entertainment industry. I will. I'll keep it very short. Entertainment industry, basically, I write books. I have written 2 best-selling novels, and you can find them on Google, you can find them on Amazon, you can find them on Kindle. A lot of it is available. You can just type my name on Google and everything will appear for you. My name is Ajinkya Bhasme. And I can tell you for a fact that because one of my books, my first book, is now being made into a web series with a very large production house, I can tell you for a fact what happens in this entertainment industry. Um, Netflix, Prime, Hotstar, these 3 platforms and other OTT platforms are the ones that are currently the most operational. As an author, I can tell you what these platforms do is they pay the authors by some either these big production houses or smaller production houses that they would outsource the stories to. They would pay authors like me, and then we would either sell our books as a screen right to them, or we'd create stories for them. So all these Money Heist, Game of Thrones is all because of people like us. Then people watch how directors make a mess of whole thing. Most of the times you read a book, then you watch a movie and you're like, oh my god, the book was much better. Hopefully not anymore. People lose a lot of money. I can tell you as an author, we really get very poor royalties. 17 rupees, 17 rupees per book. 17 rupees per book is so bad. I am sure if a Bikari sees this, that I get 17 rupees per book royalty, he's probably going to give me some money saying that brother, take this, you need this more. To a lot of other people, I also say that why are you going online to buy my book? Just give me 17 rupees. You will also save that 100 200 rupees book, and I'll also make that 17 rupees money. Although movies make millions, movies make a lot of profit, and I as an author can make a lot of money only if I can sell my screen adaptation rights to a production house. But what about these OTT platforms, Netflix, Prime, Hotstar? Are these really making money? The clear answer is no. These platforms are in huge losses. OTT business is a loss business right now because there is very tough competition. These all are very neck to neck. Z5, Netflix, Prime, Hotstar, all these are very neck to neck, and they are providing excellent deals like 30 days free and whatnot. And people have become so intelligent and so sly that they create new accounts for every 30 days, and they enjoy the subscription free of cost, and they have found out ways to plagiarize and download and do whatnot, illegal stuff online. And because of which Netflix, and you may have realized, if you are a user of any of these, you may have realized there are no ads. You don't see advertising at all. And Netflix, Amazon Prime, all these people have to buy the movie rights. The movies don't pay them. They need to buy the movie rights, and they are hosting it on their platform. So essentially you don't pay for the tickets every time. You don't pay for one particular movie. You're paying for about 300 movies on that platform. You're paying for 300 content items on that platform. At what price? At 500 rupees. The price of one movie ticket equals to the price of Netflix or Amazon subscription for a month, in which you can access 300 platforms. Statistically, it does not make sense. Business wise, it does not make sense. What these people are doing right now is creating that sense of behavior in the people that they would not go to any other platform afterwards, and they would be compelled to be on this platform and watch these series. And during this lockdown, there's a spike in the activity. More people are on the platform, more people are watching web series, more people are interested in all these things. And there is a 21-day theory in behavioral psychology. And in that 21-day theory, Netflix, Prime, and Hotstar have essentially created an audience. But unfortunately, you don't get to see such dramas on Netflix and uh, all these OTT platforms where one woman is being hit by her mother-in-law and then she kind of rolls over and strangles herself. And other woman is a pseudo-literate woman who is washing the laptop of her husband because she wants to impress him. Where can I find such exciting content? Only on television, nowhere else. So heavy losses over movies. Release dates are pushed for people like me who have already been paid. All the shooting has been stalled. You cannot shoot in external locations. You cannot scout for locations. You cannot do casting right now. Marketing budgets are cut. All the movies that were in the pipeline, their plans are extended. Will things go back to normal? Maybe production houses are going to invest more on home productions. uh, People are getting more and more creative making home movies where you don't have to go outside and you still are able to shoot an entire movie. Here is where editors make the most money. So finally, what do we conclude? We conclude that you always respect HR people, you always respect authors, and you always have to follow me on Instagram. Just please follow me on Instagram. And I hope that this presentation was engaging. This presentation was funny for you. You enjoyed it. And I hope I did not bore you too much. And I was given some time to do this, and I've finished well within time, so I'm happy I'm not taking extra hours for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me directly in the comments, or you can direct message me or reach out to me on any social media platforms. You know my Instagram handle. So thank you so much, and I will hand it over to the program coordinator.
Thank you, Ajinkya. Thank you very much. You have done very good job, according to me. So I think next is Arvind sir will moderate your and Gaurav session. So Dr. Doke will introduce Arvind Luha sir, who's don't require actually much introduction. So over to Doke sir.
Hello, good afternoon once again. Am I audible to you?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Arvind Luhar is a first place very well-known professor of accountancy in Mumbai University. He is a PhD guide for accountancy, well versed with rules and regulations. Even if I come across doubt for some doubt, rules, regulations, I do call Arvind sir. I think Arvind sir, I called you some 3-4 times related to some queries, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yes, sir.
So
Many
yeah,
principles
and
proposed.
and and Arvind sir was selected as a joint director for higher education Pune region, but he refused. Good that he
No,
has
no,
not borrowed many
no, no,
problems
no,
to him.
no, no, no. I have not refused. I have
Ah,
just asked some time.
Acha, it means you are asked sometimes. So you want to stay peacefully for some time. Anyway, so he's a very good friend of ours. So he is going to moderate the two sessions, and then we will have third session. Arvind sir, to you, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for the very nice introduction. Our today's international webinar on the effects of the COVID-19 on the business human resource. In the first session, two resource person, Mr. Gaurav and Ajinkya, they are the best brain of our country because they are the product of the premier universities of the India. And by this thing introduction, I came to know that both of them are from the IIT and one is the gold medalist. And both are working in a very good reputed firm. One is in abroad and one is in India. Uh, Both the resource person, they very nicely narrated that what issues due to this COVID-19 pandemic we people are facing. And the whatever I have listened these two resource person, I would like to summarize it. We came to know that the countries at the international level, the diagnosis of the COVID patients is means there is a multiple checking in order to find out that who is the suspected one. The social distancing is the need of the hour, and nowadays the only essential services are operative. In foreign countries, in order to control all these diseases and the movement of the people, they are also taking the help of the GPS. And the countries abroad, including the India, they are doing a lot to control the fake news. And the foreign countries, since it is the international, the webinar, so the crux will be in the international context. So the foreign countries, they are also giving the tax rebates to their citizens. They are also giving the low interest rates loan, and the foreign countries, they have also added the money in the economy. And we know that today our finance minister will also announce the package to add the more money even to our economy also. We also came to know that now we people have to work with the limited resources. People have in their mind the insecurity and the fear that what will be the future. And we feel that a sense of the removal from the community, and we people are facing a lot of the challenges maybe of the psychological level, the personality, the conflicts, and our priorities are changed. So these are the outcomes of the what two resource persons they have the narrated. So now being as a moderator for the today's the session, I also have the some of the views to share with you people. Now, first of all, I would like to thank you to Dhanukar College, then my very good friend Dr. Doke, Kanchan Fulmali, and Samrat, who is not in the video, but he is working in the back scene, Dr. Nishikant Jha, Dr. Kuldeep, Ajit Yadav, and the one more person who is looking after the connection between the resource person and the YouTube. And the today's resource person and two more resource person. One is Mr. The Jesus is will be from the Mexico, and the Dr. Miriam, she will be from the Woods University. They will be joining in the in the next session. Dear participant, this COVID situation will bring the lot of the challenges before us. The many people will lose their job. I will not say that they will lose their job. It will be just a turnaround of the job. Means a teacher may have to do the accountant job, and the accountant may find opportunity to do the job of the teaching. Earlier in the job which were very this thing in your the domain in your the in the scope, due to the COVID challenges, you may find that in the future you may not be fit into that the job. So this is the very the good opportunity for all of us to increase our skill, that whatever in the industry we are, whether we are in the teaching, whether we are in the HR, whether we are in the entertainment, whether we are in the insurance, in the whatever profession we are, to deliver our services now, at least for the some sort of the period, the medium of delivery will be the online, the portal, that will be the virtual portal. So if we are not able to manage the virtual portals, then we may find the difficulty to sustain our job. So sooner or later, we have to act on it. Then, as the today, I have come to know that the two states in the India, they have changed their labor law. They have changed their the land acquisition rules. It means the earlier, the whatever privilege you were having, now in the time of the emergency, your some sort of the rights will not be at place because it is an emergency. Because it is a emergency. Then many of us, including the organization, individuals, they have to compromise with their goals. They have to compromise with their the future planning. It is a problem. In every problem, there is an opportunity. Opportunity never comes when there is a no problem. Opportunity always comes in the form of the problem. If you are prepared, then I believe that you will naturally grab the opportunity. Then, due to this COVID, the workforce which is hand to mouth, the workforce which is at the bottom level is suffered a lot because we people on WhatsApp, we see the video that people from the Mumbai, the Thane, the Nashik, the Ahmedabad, they are moving to their the native place by the walking. They are facing the lot many the problems. No, this thing helps they are getting. See, my this observation is from the WhatsApp University, that what the videos being shared, that what we see. Then the due to this COVID, the people started adjusting in the minimum need. Yes, because it is the time we have to minimize our expenditure. We have to cut the cost. Even it is the organization, even it is the individual, because we don't know that when we will get the vaccine for this COVID, what will be the future. Even though if we will come in a green zone, then as we came to know that the train, the public transport, that will not run. Now in a city like Mumbai, when the train, public and the public transport, it will not run, then how we will move? How the workforce will move? How the business will survive? So these challenges are there on which the government have to act at the earliest. Then the nature and the features of the next level of the workforce will change. As I said that earlier, the person, one who was an actor, now he may have to settle as a singer. One who was a singer may have to this thing settle as an actor. So it will bring a lot of change. The lot of this thing, the turnaround. We all remember the example of the Mandira Bedi. Earlier, she was an actor, then she became the cricket commentator. So we have to think on that line and length that in the post-COVID, in the given situation, the whatever talent, whatever skills, whatever limitations we have, so the what will be the most suitable profession for you. Now assume that, see, those who are a permanent staff, those who are a government staff, they have a job security, but up to a what level? If this disease continue, one day or other day, they have to also find their own way. Then it is a period where the supply and demand of the HR dynamics will change. HR dynamics will change means what? Those people before the COVID who were giving their services best, in the post-COVID, they may find the issues. So we may find the issue of a pay cut, job loss, then the geographical nature of doing or performing our job, it may change. So we have to be ready with the turnaround, we all of us. So by saying these few words, I would like to thank to the organizer, co-organizer, Indian Accounting Association, the speakers, and the thousands of the participants, those who are watching the today's session on the YouTube. I would like to tell you to all the participants of the today that the every day, the whatever sessions we are organizing, we are getting more than 6 to 7,000 the participants response. Even today also, I am sure that the more than 4 to 5,000 people they are watching. So this is the new thrill we are getting as a teacher, as a speaker, as a resource person, as a moderator. In my last 21 to 22 years, the whenever we were addressing such type of the international events, the people not more than 100 have heard us. But today, the more than 5 to 7,000 people they are listening us. So this is the opportunity which the COVID is providing us. So no doubt, we people will face many problems, but many opportunities will also come. So for to grab these opportunities, we need to organize such type of the seminars, the workshop online, the web means the webinar, and where we can orient our human resource. Thank you, one and all. Fulmali madam, now the mic is over to you.
Thank you, Arvind sir. Thank you very much. Already our third resource person enter in the area, and I think it is the best part. Dr. Doke sir will introduce him. Dr. Doke sir, over to you.
Yeah, please,
Okay,
please ask
now,
Ganesh.
madam, now we people will be leaving because there are only 6 cameras. Okay, so now I
Okay,
will be leaving. Okay, chalo, thank you.
okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
Giving me an opportunity. Okay, but I will be watching you people on this thing YouTube. Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
Okay.
yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Wish you all the best.
Have a good day.
Okay.
Sir, Doke sir, please.
Yeah. Good evening, or should I say good morning, Jesus?
Good morning from
Good
Mexico.
morning.
Thank you
Good
so
morning.
much.
It's a
Yeah,
morning, right? Or very early in the morning.
yeah. It's 6 in the morning.
Oh,
Since 5 in the morning, we are awake, but we are
oh.
ready to
Okay,
present this topic.
because of this time adjustments, you have to get up early for us.
Yeah,
Thank you and welcome to the webinar. I am Principal Dr. Doke.
very nice to
So,
meet you, sir.
for information of all others, let me introduce Mr. Jesus. He has a lot of professional experience as a project manager in various countries on various topics like Management System International, Washington DC, the Emerald Panel Planet, Washington DC, and Unaided De-Education Media Superior Technology, Industrial Oaxaca in Mexico. He got constantly outstanding research award from 2013 to 16 in Global Conference on Business and Finance Research. Scholarship for Mexico 100 program by the Washington Center for Internship and Seminars, 2014, Washington, D.C., USA. National Selection of Polling Walls Lab, Mexico, 2015. Goethe Institute, Mexico City. Silver Medal, Informatics, 2016. Bucharest, Romania. Jasmine Matriz Hermes students advised on robotics. He has presented and published more than 15 research papers in various journals like Revista Global de Negocios, Mexico, Academic Star, Journal of Business and Economics USA, Journal of Management and Sustainability Canada, Academic International Conference on Business, Marketing, Management, Poland. He is basically Master of Science in Natural Resource Management and PhD scholar of National Polytechnic Institute, Mexico. He knows Spanish, English, French, Italian, and he has done lots of research. So we have such a wonderful personality to talk about the effect of COVID globally and not with reference to one particular country. Welcome. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Doak, for your confidence. Thank you very much to Dr. Fulmali for this invitation. In this conference, I plan to give you a view of the previous and current social, economical, and environmental situation in Mexico as it was given before about South Korea, and the matters you are having in India as well. So after this, I will talk to you about the research background I have on resilience, of the research I have developed of and what's the landscape of resilience concept from a scientific view, and the current patterns of research around this topic. So I will share my screen. Please confirm me if you are able to see my presentation. Okay, one second. Here we are. Are you able to see my presentation? Please just confirm.
Yes, dear. We are.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So I begin. So the topic is the social, economical, and environmental vulnerability from COVID-19 towards resilience. I will give you the example of Mexico. I am Jesus Gomez Velasquez from the National Polytechnic Institute of Mexico. So first of all, I want to let you know the situation we have in Mexico before COVID-19 crisis. We had serious problems of the violence with the drug cartels worldwide recognized, and unfortunately, we have serious problems of attacks for the people in the streets, and as well as people not agreeing with the current government, and the local and kids defending arms from some communities we have in Mexico. The rural communities, which are far from the cities, they are doing some things to protect themselves, and they are including children in these tasks, which it's very worrying about the violence environment that we are having in Mexico. The economical situation is not also good. There's a huge difference between the incomes that some people could have in Mexico and the quality of life, as you can see in these pictures, that most of our plenty of communities, for example, in Oaxaca, where I am from, we have 570 municipalities in a state, in a province of the size of Hungary. In these communities, they are so far from each other, and they don't have connections by the way they have to go for researchers walking to get the wood to get heat, because as well as this weather is very changing, which take us for the next situation. The environmental situation of Mexico is not also good. We have the situation of the water scarcity. We have also a lot of earthquakes in southeastern Mexico, which causes this image in the upper part is from the Paulina hurricane in 1997, as well as the earthquakes in 2018, which are giving these social, economical, and environmental view of vulnerability before COVID-19 in Mexico. We trust in our situation, as I told you about water scarcity. We as Mexicans, we think that we are used to this, we are used to that. We have been able to succeed with this situation, with the health system, bad health system we have, the public services we have. We are able to do this, and people believe that we trust we will be able to pass by this crisis. So what's the current situation with COVID-19? So first of all, panic. The panic was the general situation among the people. They were not really informed. We have a terrible lack of information of what the reality is. I was working in Germany, and everybody was afraid about I'm coming back to Mexico because no, you have to stay at home, and what is happening. And yeah, for sure, I stay at home. I got my quarantine after Germany. I arrived in the 15th of March to Mexico, and since that I am at home. So the panic was the first situation that happened in Mexico. They went to the supermarkets. They end up with all of the toilet paper and this behavior that we have seen worldwide. But what began to be very worrying was the attacks for the medical personnel. The nurses and the doctors began to be attacked by the people, pushing them out of the public transportation. Hey, don't, you are infected, you have to leave this. They throw blanch at them. In this image we have seen Hospital General of the Americas in down. We can see that the patients were desperate about people dying. They broke into the hospital and they got into the infection area. They opened the bags with the bodies looking for the people, and they did a real mess with this situation. After this, as we have seen also in Italy, I don't know if you are interested, the drug cartels began, or the criminal groups began to give support for the communities in order that they can easily have a contact with the society, with also is part of the crisis. They are giving support. Sometimes the government is not giving the appropriate support, most of the times, unfortunately. So the drug cartels takes this as an advantage. But what is happening? Before the crisis, all the services, I can tell you, all the services in Mexico were not enough to care our people. We can see this photo with the transportation every time so crowded. And I tried to look for the pictures in the news. I recently saw that even with the crisis, they are beginning to open. We are in the peak of infection now. Everybody trying to wear these masks, but not because they are caring about this. It's because they are not able to get into some places without it, and they are not using them properly. They are touching their faces. They are putting the mask here down. People believe that we have to die of something. We have to keep going. That's the way of thinking of the Mexican. That's the Mexican resilience. Could not be resilience. Could be another thing like, I don't care. But I will tell you later about the real resilience patterns that we can find in Mexico and what we could be applied to different topics around the world. And the economical situation talks also about the oh, well, yes, I hear something. Okay, can you hear me? Just to confirm again. Yes?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Thank you. I keep going. So part of this panic situation in Mexico was given by the lack of information or wrong information. For example, we can see that that a perspective of the television said, "Oh, you don't have to be careful about this. You can keep going with your activities," and the others began to show the reality. And those who began to show the reality supposedly were against to the president minister we are having now, and they are giving us a political scene about this situation, and they are not really approaching the reality of how many people is dying. For example, I will tell you what is happening here. Why Mexico is not having a big amount of total debt shown worldwide. It is because most of the cases are given, are expressed as a typical pneumonia. As you can see, a typical pneumonia, it's a kind of COVID. They didn't make the analysis to make sure that it was COVID. So last year there were 45,000 cases of atypical pneumonia. Now the same situation is happening with the number of COVID. So we can imply that what is happening is COVID crisis. It's increased by the cases that we had last year. What is happening? As I told you, that the government support is these kind of masks. They are trying to be funny of different materials of masks. The reality of the death tolls, as we can see in these graphics, and as we can see in the photo down, the people, we have a lot of not formal, not essential activities. A lot of people is selling in the streets, so they live by day, as Professor Basme stated before. So they have to adapt to it's not an easy way to adapt to this situation, because the people want and really need to keep working in the streets, and everything is very social in Mexico. So what can we do as government? They are pushing the government to go out. We have to work, we have to do this, we have to live. They have to have their daily income to live. And I am pretty sure you are having this situation also in India, and as well as it's a common problem in the global south. As I told you, now the environmental matters after COVID crisis is getting worse by the meteorological situation. We have a big change of temperature among the morning, like such as today in the morning, and in the middle of the day. We have ranges of about 13, 20, 25 degrees in the changes of temperature, which put our bodies in vulnerability. I'm not talking about the plastic and disposable products impact that we are having in the environment, which is easier to see in our countries, where it's not easy to find a recycle way of this. We have to dispose of the plastics we are taking out from the market to the house, because we're not able to get those plastics into the house. And all of these part of the new quotidianity is giving a high impact on plastic disposals here in Mexico, as well as in all the world, as we have seen in the pictures in China. So what's the rural communities context? We have, as I told you, we have a very social way of thinking in Mexico. We collectively construct, we collectively move, we collectively go through this idea. So the communities in southeastern Mexico, which is actually the tail of Mexico, began to protect themselves. They blocked streets, they blocked the highways going to those communities to not allow the pass of the people. And for example, I am not able to move from Oaxaca to anywhere, because everywhere there are curfews, it's not possible to move anywhere. There are not flights, everything inside Mexico, it's blocked. But it's taken by the other side, that people has to keep doing their basic activities. So what's the analysis of this situation? First of all, we have from a scientific perspective, it is needed to have a view of the lifestyles and the environment. The environment is included the social, economical, and environmental environment. We have to be okay. So what's the situation? What was the situation before? We had a crisis of the climate change and the population and industrial growth and the climate impacts that were the consequences that we have. We were able to see a lot of examples in this climate situation, which take us to human and community vulnerability. The vulnerability is defined by the sensitivity. How are we exposed to these terms of to these pressures that the external factors are giving, and the resilience. How can we stand and get recovered to these situations? I will tell you how important is worldview. Is the worldview in this situation? The worldview will give us the beliefs and behaviors which can be ordered to response capabilities, giving a link between the way of thinking, the worldview, and resilience. This is the research I do in Mexico, how worldview relates to the capabilities of adaptation expressed by worldview and resilience concepts. There is a theoretical background. Before there was a concept of robustness which explains the adaptability in terms of the compensations against the uncertainties and vulnerabilities, such as this COVID situation we are having now. There's a long theory about the terror management, how to get into the terror situations. There's a cultural cognition theory which shows how's the situation about the way of thinking and the responses we are having for the pressures. Then after we began to talk recently about resilience, which is actually a word coming from the physics studies taken recently and very open to social science aspects, generally for those of environment and climate change. For adaptations, it's appealing. In 2011 talks us about the status quo, incremental and radical change, which for sure we have to care about. We have to change. We are not sure if we are coming back to a status quo or we have to keep having incremental changes in our behaviors. Recently, we can find very much of relevant research in different disciplines. If we look a little in 2020, which is after COVID crisis, it is a crisis, but the crisis in Chinese language, crisis is the same meaning as an opportunity. We have to take this as researchers as an opportunity to rise mechanism and strategies for resilience and improve the general way of living of lifestyles. For example, as Halland show and which says gives an expression of the humanitarian coordination and importance of the community level preparedness, which is very applicable to the Mexican context as well as the global south generally. Oh no. Is everything okay? I don't know, what did I do?
Again, you share.
Yeah.
Again, you have to share. Don't try.
I don't know. I have a problem here. Yeah, yes, I am trying. Okay, it's okay now.
Right now, we have not seen.
Can you see it now?
Your presentation cannot be seen.
Okay, one moment.
Again, you have to share. Go again and share the presentation.
Okay, can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
One
Okay.
second. Yes.
We have it. Thank you. And the last one is it's shows how the vulnerability and resilience can relate to each other to lifespan, considering the different conditions of exposition to this situation. There are so much as you can. I hear a little noise there. Can I? Well, okay, keep going. So there's a very big perspective of resilience concept. There's the cognitive, the economic, environmental, human, disaster resilience, and international cooperation and global strategies around resilience concept, which is a very big body of theory as well as conceptual reference and background, which could be differently applied to different situations. We could apply a resilience concept for economical terms of this COVID situation, to the cognitive as well in the human development, to the environmental one in these impacts that I showed you that are happening after COVID crisis, to the human about the sensitivity and resilience. This is also very applicable to human, to public health studies. And the one I am centered into is the disaster resilience, as you can see in the down part of this graphic, and those are the most important backgrounds of these disaster resilience studies. So from the social, economic, and environmental conceptual perspective, we can see that social resilience is the ability to cope with and adapt to environmental and social change mediated by the appropriate institutions. It's related to the institutional theory expressed by Adyer in 2002. The economic one, we can find that resilient actions for economic purposes include those that may seem to violate established moral norms, such as rational behavior. Rational behavior is important in crisis at the operational level. It may be difficult to model individual, group, and community behavior in a single framework. Sorry, because we have to analyze all of the different characteristics of the individual, group, and community, generally express what I stated before, the way of thinking, which is also expressed by the worldviews. And at the empirical level, it is especially difficult to gather an idea of resilience or specify models. So we have to develop research according to each concept, to each context, to each group, to each community, according to their needs and according to their way of thinking, to land into most resilient actions. And environmental perspective, it is defined by the anticipatory actions, adaptation, and development mitigation strategies, constructing the resilience perspective of the concept I am proposing in my research. So I propose premises to formulate different hypotheses for further research, which can be taken as well as here or in India. First of all, the political beliefs present a significant limitation to the effectiveness of state-level social distancing orders. For example, according to the research background by Painter and Q in 2020, they say that residents in Republican countries are less likely to completely stay home after a state order has been documented to relative to those in democratic countries. So we can see the patterns of behaviors of the way of thinking in political issues. Another hypothesis we can raise with a very recent in 2020 after crisis, we can show that in a sample of 30 countries, we will see a median decline of gross development product of minus 2.8%. In other scenarios, the gross development product can fall more than 10. In Mexico, we're talking about 12%, and in more countries, more than 15%. This is the economical perspective of the current hypothesis we can raise with this research matter we are having. The environmental one talks about the easy spread of the virus and how the precautionary route of the mask and the disposal gloves and hand sanitizer can be harmful for the environment in different expressions of the analysis that we can develop further research about this environmental impact after the COVID crisis. So these suggested hypotheses could be the first one, the social one, is the beliefs of the people determine their behavior. Stress or terror situations such as COVID-19 contingents expressed in mitigation actions. Another one is the decline of gross development product caused by COVID crisis will be mitigated by the diverse mitigation strategies depending on economic scenarios and productive activities. This is what I told you, according to the needs and according to the capabilities and way of thinking of each context, of each community. And a third hypothesis that could be raised after this situation is the COVID-19 crisis is related with the air pollution decline as well as the plastic waste rise production. So from this perspective, from this reality, from this social scientific perspective, we can suggest that it is necessary to develop critical research to show each social context particularities for mitigation strategies towards resilience. It is necessary also to evaluate the different economical situation that each country, region, or social context is coping to propose feasible alternatives. It is necessary to specify in these particular characteristics of each region or social context to make it possible to design proper strategies and more operable initiatives. Also, it is necessary to pay attention at the rise of environmental impact from disposable chemical and biological waste after COVID-19 crisis, which is recently I can express that it's a little neglected by the scientific approaches. They are not doing too much research about this environmental matter after crisis. There's a background of how the human activity has decreased the has decreased the the air pollution, but not the plastic and disposable chemical and biological impact. So these are my references, and I leave you open my email account for further research proposals. So I really hope not to bore you, but this is the perspective of resilience and importance for the studies of economical, social, and environmental matters that we can have of the context pressures and how can be addressed them into resilience capabilities. So thank you very much for your attention and your invitation.
Yeah, thank you, Jesus. You have done very apt presentation with graphical way, and really we thankful to you. Already our next resource person, Dr. Mariam, already on the platform. So
Yes.
I have given to Dr. Doke sir. Over to Doke sir.
Before I introduce Dr. Mariam, I especially thank Jesus. It was a good presentation.
Thank you so much.
Simultaneously, I was watching the comments on my mobile. Not that I was distracting myself, but I was just going through the comments of the mobile, like putting mobile YouTube on, and the people are very happy. The scenario in India and in Mexico is not much different. There is a fear even in earlier presentation. The precautions taken by Korea, similar precautions are taken in India also. It's not to spread the rumors. If you spread WhatsApp rumors, there will be action against you. Even there are people attacking police force. There are people attacking doctors, hospitals. So it is not only pandemic worldwide, but the effects and other side effects are also worldwide. Air pollution level has gone up, where air pollution is a good quality. I mean to say, as the pollution level has gone down, that is seen everywhere. But we cannot have lockdown continuously to have good air quality, because there is always a question between life and livelihood. And as earlier speaker also said, it's a big question, especially in India, where there is a large number of people working in unorganized sector, and now they are migrating with the fear that they may not have work over here, they may not survive here, they are not getting any job. Those who earn the daily wage earners, it's a huge problem now. Means other day I saw on the TV, they were showing that this type of this migration is larger than the migration took place at the time of India's partition.
Wow.
When people migrated from India to Pakistan or East or West Pakistan, then East Pakistan, now it is a Bangladesh. But this migration is much larger than that. And it's a really, these cities are built up not only by big industrialists, but these cities are also built up by the all service providers, may it be a vegetable vendor, may it be a jadwala, may it be a housemaid. So these are the problems that post-COVID we will face like anything. Right now, say we are locked down and we are at home, so we can manage to have our household chorus with little fighting. That is going worldwide. But once our regular routine starts, and if this workforce is not available to us, which is very handy, very cheaply available, then we do not know what will happen, and they are worried to come back to the cities. Right now, they are walking hundreds of thousands of kilometers without any food, without any assurity. So these are the big problem that all countries will face. So the only not pandemic is, effects are not this, worldwide, but other side effects are also worldwide. Thank you. Very good presentation. Now,
thank you, Dr. Dog.
Excuse me. 1 minute.
I think we have to see about Dr. Mariam Halagan. who is from all the way William Woods University. And we have to welcome here Dr. Miriam. She is very much from India, but later on she is settled in US. So I have to call her as we have a very good friendship previously. So today also. So welcome, Dr. Miriam. Dr. Doke, sir, please introduce
I'll
her.
introduce Dr. William. So Dr. William is basically assistant professor of management, William Woods University, Fulton, USA. She is a member of WWU Curriculum Committee, professor visiting scholars, Stanford University, Falls Church, Virginia, USA, since February 16 to June 17. She is the director of Global Research and Development, ACPI Training Private Limited, NSW Australia. She is basically MSBA, Master of Science in Business Analytics, PhD, and MBA. She is a MCOM, basically, as Kanchan told, from Mumbai University. Is that? She is a MCOM.
No, it's from Barkatullah University, Bhopal.
Yeah, she is a MCOM. She has done her postgraduate diploma in Human Research Management, and then one more postgraduate diploma in International Marketing, I suppose. Then UGC in NET, and she has done a lot of certificate courses under continuing her education. Hong Kong Polytechnic University, Arizona State University, University of Texas Austin X, Georgia Institute of Technology, Western Reserve University, EI coaching certification at Yale University campus, published author and author of 2 books on emotional intelligence and new age leadership, published 13 research papers in scholarly journals and conference proceedings. She is awarded faculty of the quarter for outstanding contribution in developing and teaching doctoral courses for the schools of business and IT at Stanford University, USA. She is the editor, International Research Journal, Jagran, Lake City University, invited professor, Stratford University, Virginia, USA. UGC awarded her Maulana Azad National Fellowship for Research and appointed as the president of Society for Education and Empowerment of Weaker and Deprived Sections, Bhopal, India, awarded young scientist by Madhya Pradesh government. So I welcome Dr. Mariam to this webinar. This is the last session of the day. Okay, over to you, Mariam.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joke. And first of all, I would like to thank your organization and actually both the organizations for organizing such a beautiful event. I mean, this is what we need these days, right? Coming onto the platform where we can discuss these problems. I mean, Dr. Jesus, you're Jesus if I'm not wrong, right? Because in India, we call it Jesus, but in Mexico, they pronounce it as Jesus. So it was
Exactly.
full presentation. I mean, he covered the entire macroeconomic concept, the effects of COVID-19 on society, the environment, and the overall economic context he covered. My presentation will be more about each one of you. So it's not macro context, it's very personal context, and that's why I love leadership, because leadership is very personal. When you talk about leadership, when you talk about leadership competencies, when you talk about anything about leadership, it's about you. It's about your relationship with people who are leading you, and it's about your relationship with yourself. And I will discuss how in my presentation. So let me share with you my screen. Uh, share my screen.
Just go on share screen,
Yes.
open it. There is down share screen. Yeah, good.
Okay.
So you open your
Presentation.
yes,
Can you all
dear.
see my presentation?
Yes, very much.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay. Is it visible to you all? Just to make sure.
Yeah, dear. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah, okay. So, today we are going to talk about competency based leadership, the approach that I believe we need today. We are actually living in a very vulnerable time, COVID-19. And it's not just COVID-19. I mean, if you just look, what's been happening for about 10 years or 15 years, the world is changing so much. And not just so much, it's changing so fast. And that's why, I wrote my book, Conscious Smart: How to Lead and Achieve Your Total Well-Being in Industry 4.0. Now, Industry 4.0, according to World Economic Forum, is the extension of previous industry and business eras. So, Industrial Revolution actually started in kind of, Western world around 1930s, when different factories and different industries started to set up just to, boost the economic growth, just to mass produce the products because people needed products, right? So this is when industries actually came into existence, and from there we moved to more, technological era, and from there we moved to internet era, and now we are in Industry 4.0, which is advanced internet technology. And it has changed the entire landscape of not just business but how we live. So it is actually affecting all the aspects of our life. Now just imagine, when we were kids, if you are a millennial who was born, say, after 1980s, or somewhere between 1980s and 1999 or something like that, you're still a millennial, right? So if you remember, when we were children, what different type of technology was available to us? I had a phone that was a landline phone, and that was expensive, so we could hardly make calls. It was very different time. But now, somehow, at some rate, the technology has changed the entire landscape of the world. We know we can see the consequences, and now we are faced with this pandemic situation that we call as COVID-19. Now, it came like a surprise. We were not prepared for it. It is everything so unprecedented that is happening in this era. So, the world we live in today is not just vulnerable because of technological shift, it is also vulnerable because of the natural causes, such as COVID-19, all these pandemics, natural disasters, and kind of, climate change too. The world is heating up much more than ever before. So all these changes are affecting our lives and not just business. We say that our environment is highly VUCA sensitive these days, and VUCA is a term actually that is used in army and military context more. Now, VUCA means V, U, C, and A. Now, V stands for vulnerable. So today's environment is highly vulnerable. U stands for uncertain. It is uncertain. C stands for complex. And A stands for ambiguous. So today's business environment, today's world is highly VUCA sensitive, which means the world is highly vulnerable. It is uncertain, it is complex, and it is ambiguous. We don't know what is happening, right? Can we predict what's happening tomorrow? No, we cannot. And as this COVID-19 pandemic has hit us, things have become worse, right? So Dr. Jesus actually covered the context in Mexico, the macroeconomics context in Mexico, and I'm sitting here in the United States. Situation is not very different. I was reading news yesterday, and according to USA Today, by the end of April, over 20.5 million people reported unemployment. Now, this is not India, and people say, like, United States of America is the strongest economy, it is the strongest country. It's not. all the countries, all types of industries these days are so highly vulnerable. So United States even is not in a great shape. We are struggling. Government is struggling. It's kind of withdrawing money from its reserves just to, meet the expenses that it has to make in order to support its population that is struggling with COVID-19. So 20.5 million people unemployed. Government has to do something about it, right? And government only has limited resources, so it is in trouble, right? In India, in Mexico, in the United States, governments and people, everybody is struggling, right? And it came as a surprise. It just hit us. So we are living in a highly vulnerable world where COVID-19 pandemics and recession are the new realities, right? When these many people are unemployed, it is saying something. It's saying that they're out of employment because companies and organizations are out of business, right? There is no business. And if you have studied economics, you know that when there is no business, there is no economic exchange. The economy is not stimulated enough to generate income for itself. And it's a lot more than you can even imagine. You say it's a circular flow of income. When there is no income, there is no flow. So we are being affected individually, we are being affected as business and industry, and we are being affected as governments and nations, and we are being affected as a world. So it's a huge impact. If you take a bigger picture, you will understand that COVID-19 has hit us really bad. Now, as I said, I'm going to talk about leadership, and it's going to be very personable, right? You all will be able to relate what I'm going to tell you about how to cope with this new situation where everyone, all the industries, entire world, all the nations are being affected by this problem. So, what I recommended in my book, it was, that in this new world, when things are changing at such a fast pace, leadership needs to be redefined. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you ask people, define leadership, or who's the leader? It's easy to say, leader is someone who has followers. Barry Posner, Cousins and Posner's book, Leadership Challenge, actually defines leadership this way. They say that, leader is a person who has a follower. But just imagine, okay, just imagine Industry 4.0 workplaces, right? Most of the people here in United States do have kind of, not most of the people, but a lot of people, more than 30% of uh, working population is doing side gigs. Now, when I say side gigs, that means, okay, you have a full-time job, but you're also doing some freelancing work. And it's not sometimes side gig, it is your kind of, full-time employment that you are working on small short-term contracts, and that's how you make your living. So when you are working as a freelance contractor, writing manuscripts for others or creating websites and those things, who's leading you? Do you have a leader? If more than 30% of the population in coming future is working for themselves, but will they have leaders? So Cruz and Postner's definition does not apply here. People who don't have followers, are they not leaders? I don't believe so. So what we said, or what I said in my book, is leadership needs to be redefined in situation where you don't have leaders to lead you. Who is taking charge of your life? Who is leading you? It is actually you yourself. And that's why I said it's very personable. So freelancers, individual contractors, independent workers, they are leading themselves. They are setting their own goals. They are following the path they design for themselves. They motivate themselves. They inspire themselves to act upon their goals. They are their own leaders. So in Industry 4.0, in time of COVID-19, there are no leaders, right? Because everyone has their own bit to do. Governments are busy with dealing with their own problems, providing for their population. It is you, individuals, as leaders, who have to take charge of your life, how to make impact in your life and other people's life. So leadership needs to be a little bit redefined in new world of industry, in this new world of vulnerability. Each and individual person is a leader. You have to take your leadership role, influence other people, and inspire yourself to act. Now, today's leaders need to seek total well being. Now, it's a beautiful concept. Just bear with me. I'll tell you what it is about. Now, today's leaders, now, if I ask you, what is your life goal? Right? Or what do you want to do with your life? Or what each one of us want to do with our lives? Mostly, people say, I want to be very successful. I wanted to be successful myself, but how do we define that success? Is it career success? Do I want to publish more and more research papers? I have just 13. Do I want to attend more conferences? Do I want to be more visible? But that is just career success I'm talking about. Are you actually talking about this type of success? This is the concept of total well being. And this model I have created by combining two wonderful other models, Stu Friedman's total leadership model and Gallup's well being index. Now, if this model says that today's leader, and I'm talking about not just millennials and Generation Z people, I'm also talking about Dr. Kanchan Fulmali sitting there. And everyone, a Conchit Fulmali, I'm not saying she's old or anyone, but she might be a different generation, maybe generation of not baby boomers, but after that, right? So people from old generation require to aspire for total well-being, especially millennials and Generation Z population are more inclined to achieve total well-being, which means they are not just living for one-dimensional career success. They are not waking up every morning to achieve just career success in their life. They also want their community well-being. Aren't we all concerned about other people? I mean, I have heard scholars talking about, how can we make difference to improve the situation of our community. So we want community well-being. We want to like where we live, where we see social justice and equality. Now, the first quarter here, you can see left side on the top is about personal well-being. Okay, so this should be your aim and your goal in the life to achieve your personal well being too. And in times like COVID-19, if you are a leader and you are taking care of yourself, if you are inspiring yourself, will you be able to do that if you are not mentally and emotionally healthy? And when I say personal well being, that means you are the person who's living with higher purpose. So every morning you get up and you prepare yourself for doing something that gives meaning to your life. I love teaching. I was working in Australia. My job was like a manager. I was managing something, some sort of work, but I was not fulfilled because when I don't teach, when I don't talk to people, when I don't share my ideas and thoughts and knowledge, I don't think that I'm making any difference to this world. So that is not a purposeful job for me if I'm not talking to people. So are you doing that? Are you doing something that gives meaning to your life? That is about personal well-being because it makes you feel good about yourself. Also mental, emotional, and physical health. COVID-19 is terrible thing, right? But it can be avoided if you are taking precautions. It can be treated in a lot of cases if your body is already strong enough. So this is the time when you need to start focusing on your personal well-being too. And mental and emotional health has direct relation or direct impact on your physical health too. If you're mentally and emotionally weak, it starts to affect your physical health as well. Now, also social well-being, empowering and supporting relationships. So do you have that? I mean, again, empowering supportive relationships are good for your mental and emotional and also physical health, that there are people to take care of you. So just focus on these four different areas of your well-being. Again, you are a leader. Okay, in this new world of industry, do not count on others to come and lead you. This is the time when you have to take lead in your life, and you have to make sure that you are living your total well-being. You are not just focused on your career well-being, but you're also focused on your personal well-being, your social well-being, and above all, community well-being, because leaders do not just live for themselves. Leaders live for others too. It's their duty to make difference to other people's lives as well. Now, in 2019, I published my book Conscious Smart, and Conscious Smart meaning leaders who are conscious and leaders who are smart. Now, when I say conscious, because it's a lot of debate around this world. When you say consciousness, people feel like, is it something like very spiritual, something very godly about it? Are we talking about our relationship to higher power and everything? I will say no. In this book, no. We are not talking about holy or spiritual consciousness. In this book, we are talking about the scientific type of consciousness, which means the type of in human ability where human beings actually use very higher level of their intuition and cognition and social emotional abilities. If you study, if you read in my book, by the way, here I'm not promoting my book. If you just go on Amazon and type Conscious Smart, you can see my book. And if you click on this look inside a button, you can actually read up to, I guess, 3 to 4 chapters. And 3 to 4 chapters are enough to understand what's happening in this book. And by end of this slideshow, I'll share more resources with you. So I'm not promoting my book. You don't have to read the book. You can read most of the content for free. That's a gift for my audience today. So consciousness is whole brain thing. It's your ability to use your total brain. Instead of reacting to situation, you try to respond. You use your emotion, you use your higher level cognition, and you also use your social emotional networks before you make any decisions. So that is conscious. Smart, you are prepared, you have smart abilities to function in this modern world. So if you read the book and kind of, first 2 chapters, you will be understanding the concept really well. What I have actually provided in this book is a competency framework. So we were talking about, how world is changing. So everything around us is changing, making everything else very vulnerable, our lives very uncertain, very unprecedented. Now in these times we need conscious smart leaders. Now conscious smart leaders are not superheroes. They are us, right? But better versions of us, people who have all the necessary competencies to lead the world today. And in this particular book, after a lot of research, well, I use design thinking actually, talk to people, a lot of people, what type of competencies they want to see in their leaders, or what type of competencies, make effective leaders. And I came down to these 3 clusters. So, conscious smart leaders, the most effective leaders of today, the most successful leaders of today, have about 39 leadership competencies divided into these 3 clusters. There is a consciousness cluster, there is technical and life skills cluster, and there is social emotional cluster. Now, once again, consciousness is not spiritual consciousness here, it is your brain's ability. Are you using your intuition, which somewhere, lies here in your primitive brain? Are you using your social emotional networks, and are you using your prefrontal cortex, to make effective decision? It is that type of consciousness. Let's go ahead and see what we have here. So social construct smart competencies you need today, with special reference to this COVID-19 and pandemic situation. I would say that I'm not going to discuss with you 39 competencies because it's going to take a lot of time. And what I believe is this, that you need these 15 competencies, especially in these type of situations. In consciousness cluster, you can see there are the 20 competencies. I have highlighted about 8 competencies here that I believe that you actually need to manage your life in this type of situations. Number one is having a vision, right? As I said, as you know, all the scholars are saying that things are super uncertain, right? We cannot imagine what is happening tomorrow, but still having a vision will help you. Now, you are free. I mean, most of us are not doing as much these days as we used to when we were working. This is the great time to reflect, because people who have great vision are also very reflective, because what they do is they look into the past, they look in the present, and then they connect the dot and create the vision of their future. So just start reflecting what's been happening in your life, what's been happening to your country, what's been happening to your family, and can you create a vision? Now, vision means where you want to go, or what is happening around you, and in that particular context, what do you want to do next? Do you just want to sit down and waste your time, spend your time, do what you've always been doing, clicking pictures, posting on Instagram, just using Facebook infinitely? Or do you want to just stand up and make an impact? Do you have any vision? Having a vision will help you. All of us need to have a vision these days. Today's leaders need to have a vision. Having a positive outlook is extremely important, because it is very easy to slip into negative emotions. We are all inside. I mean, in the United States, at least in India, you see sun every day. Here I don't see the sun. I mean, most of the days in April, you only see clouds, and it's depressing. There is no sun, it's cold, it's sometimes freezing, and you don't see very many people. So it's very easy to slip into negative emotions. So having a positive outlook is very important. Agility is extremely important. What is happening around you, right? Being agile helps you a lot. Being agile meaning having all your senses open and keep sensing what is happening, because if you are aware of your surroundings, it is easy to take action upon the situation. Now, my favorite point is number 9: evolves with anti fragility. What does that mean? I mean, what does fragile means? Fragile means that you hit an object with a hammer, and if it breaks, it is fragile, right? But if you hit an object with a hammer and it doesn't break, what would you call that object? You won't call it anti-fragile. You will call it as not fragile. Okay, if it breaks, it is fragile. If it doesn't break, it is not fragile. But if you hit an object with a hammer and it becomes better, it evolves and becomes better, that is anti-fragile. That is anti-fragility. And it's a beautiful concept coined by Nassim Nicholas Taleb in his book Anti-Fragile. I recommend that book. If you have time, read that book, or at least the review of that book, Anti-Fragile. And it's a beautiful concept. So it says that in times like this, pandemic and recession, it is hitting you. If you break, you are fragile. If you don't break, you are not fragile. But if you become better, right? If you are making impact, if you are kind of improving this situation, making your mark, you are anti-fragile. And that's what I think every day these days. How can I make the impact? When Dr. Fulmali Kanchan, she invited me, I was like, yeah, please, I would like to attend this conference. It was super early in the morning, but I was like, you know what? I want to make impact. I want to tell people what they can do about it. All of us are doing the same thing. That is anti fragility. Do you break? You don't break. You become better. That is anti fragility. Dr. Jesus actually said a beautiful thing about this Chinese character crisis, that in China, they say crisis equals opportunity. So when crisis hit you, That is not a time to, grieve or say, you know what, I'm broken because, this situation has hit me hard. You get up. It is an opportunity to do something better and become better, right? That is anti-fragility. And that's what you need to think. How can you make impact? Number 12 is creative. Being creative helps a lot, and creativity doesn't just mean making great artworks and being creative with your music or artistic work. Creativity means creative problem solving, finding creative solutions to your problems. So if you are a creative person, you do things differently, right? So if I do thing or I solve one particular problem with one method always, I'm not a creative person. I do things or I solve one particular problem with one method. There's some feedback. I'm sorry, but yes, if you're a creative person, I do things or I solve one particular problem. No problem. I'll keep going. So, number 16 is takes calculated risk. That is extremely important these days. If you are a person who just, risk taking is good. For entrepreneurs in business, we say that entrepreneurs are the people who take risks. But in these time, you have to take calculated risk in context of your life, even when to go out, when to stay back home, when to socialize, when not to socialize, when to do some specific thing and when not, right? So every action these days contains some sort of risk, right? Because life has become very, very vulnerable. So taking calculated risk, if you know when to act and when not to act, will help you a lot. So these are the things you're doing, and you're adaptable, right? Again, Dr. Yusuf were talking about resilience. So if you can adapt to change, that is an excellent thing. Now, in consciousness cluster, in 20 competencies, these are the competencies that you require today. And I will also tell you by end, how can you help yourself with these competencies? How can you develop these competencies? I'll be quick because I don't want to take more time than I was assigned. Technical and life skills cluster competencies. Now, this is the second cluster. There are about 11 competencies here, but I believe that these are the three competencies that people need in COVID-19 times. Number one is learn and develop continuously. Again, are you wasting your time? Or are you investing time in learning and developing yourself? I was talking about anti-fragility. Now, what am I doing? Am I learning and developing continuously? I think I do. Whatever time I have left, after my work these days, I'm kind of, spending all this time in developing myself, doing more research, learning more about things, something that will help me further in my future, because this time is problematic, but this time is not gonna stay forever, right? It will get over and I will again have my word back. So you know what, this is the good time to learn and develop. Communicate effectively. This is the time when you need to communicate with each other. Now see, we say that necessity is the mother of invention. Now we have invented such beautiful methods like these wonderful meetings, YouTube meetings, Zoom meetings, Facebook meetings. It's a new discovery. I won't say it's an invention because it's not. It was invented way before pandemic came, but we discovered these technologies now, right? Through which we can communicate with each other more effectively and communicate with empathy, communicate with compassion. This is what you require today. Communicate about your needs and expectations so that people can fulfill your expectations. In this time, we need to communicate more, or if not more, communicate enough, because lack of communication can cause serious problems too. Now, manages information and knowledge. Again, extremely important, as well was talking about this learn and develop continuously. Whatever knowledge you have, what are you doing with that knowledge? Like what we are doing as scholars, other scholars are also talking about. There are so many research papers now being published on COVID-19. Are you managing this information? Start writing a blog. If you have something to contribute to the world, just do it. You are not limited by anything. If you cannot publish a kind of scholarly paper, you can at least write a small blog where you can just tell people how to protect themselves, or how to, stay cozy, or what are the best entertainment options when you are staying at home. Every person, or each and every person, can make impact at their own levels. Now, what are you doing? Ask yourself this question. Last is social emotional cluster. Now, here you have four competencies. I believe controlling self emotionally is extremely important. As I was telling you, this is depressing time. We are very emotionally broken, right? We are not seeing people who we were used to, socialize with. So it's kind of not very good situation. So control your emotions. Don't get depressed. Just be stick with your loved ones. Keep communicating, and situation will become better. Nurture your relationships with communication. As I said, there are new mediums of communication. You can communicate. Keep nurturing your relationships with people. Try to make impact. You can make new connections and new relationships. Demonstrate service orientation. As I said in the beginning, that leadership is not just about yourself. Okay, because if you are just focused on self, that is selfish. Okay, so no, leaders are not selfish. Leaders are actually service oriented. So demonstrate service orientation. How can you make impact? And lead your team. And now, when I say team here, I'm not talking about your work team. Of course, if you are leading your work team, that's a wonderful thing to do, but I'm also talking about your families. I'm also talking about your friendship clusters. I'm also talking about other groups who are making impact. Lead these teams through change. I mean, people are scared. People are kind of, all over the place. It's a weird situation. Help people to change through this change, right? Manage yourself emotionally, be strong, and make impact in other people's life, because this is what great leaders do, right? So far we have discussed 15 competencies in these three clusters. Okay, so that you remember, there are four competencies here in social emotional cluster. Emotional intelligence, your social intelligence, it is about you and your people. These are technical and life skills cluster competencies. Are you learning enough? Are you communicating, managing information? Are you tech savvy? There are other competencies too, which you can focus upon. And there is consciousness cluster competencies. Are you using your brain to create vision, having positive outlook, agility, and all these things? So in three clusters, we discuss 15 competencies that you can develop and use to make difference in today's world. Now, this is what, or this is how this entire framework looks like. So you can see there are competencies in cognizant or consciousness cluster, then there is a technical cluster and social emotional cluster. And here is a gift for you, as I promised in the beginning. So, as I said, how can you read first three chapters? You just go on Amazon and type Conscio Smart. Okay, if you type it, you will see the book. And if you see, if you go and click a little side, you can read actually 3 to 4 chapters. Now, if you go on this website, www.consciosmart.com, and you go to this link, CSCB Toolkit, which is Conscious Smart Competency Tool or book, toolkit, and enter this password. This is CSMOCTK10, all caps. If you insert this password and click, you will be presented with a toolkit. This is kind of many pages of this particular document. And this document consists activities on each and every competency that is discussed in this particular framework. So for example, in consciousness cluster, there are 21 competencies. So for each competency, there are exercises in this toolkit. So for example, if you want to become more agile, what do you need to do? So to go into this particular toolkit and do some exercises. And there are instructions in this particular toolkit. You just have to answer some questions and create your goals, work on your goals, and it can help you become more agile. So this is my gift for you, and this was my presentation. So what we discussed was uh, COVID-19, not just COVID-19. The world around us is changing. Technology is changing our world. COVID-19 has hit us hard. In this particular time, we need better leaders. We need individuals who can take charge of their own lives, and they need to have certain competencies, therefore. What competencies you need? Well, you need about 8 competencies in consciousness cluster. You need about 4 competencies in technical cluster, and you need about 4 competencies, or 3 or 4 competencies in social emotional cluster. I apologize if my numbers are wrong here, but I'm kind of giving you a review of what we discussed here. You need about 15 competencies, I believe, in order to help yourself and help other people around you. So I'm good at managing time. It is 11 past 8, and my presentation was about 40 minutes, I guess. Uh, if that's okay, I think.
Yeah, Dr. Miriam, you have done very good job. Within a time, you have done it perfectly. You wind up, and it's a very nice way you have told all the people in India what exactly leadership and the qualities, and every you have focused in a very perfect and proper manner. Now, once again, we have a Dr. Nishikant Zha, who is monitoring these 2 sessions. So, Dr. Dokis, please, you have to.
Yeah, yeah, I would like to say something. Dr. Mariam, that while watching this on my laptop, I was also watching on mobile, and there is a request from so many participants. Can you share the presentation that you made? Because it is an excellent presentation on leadership. So if you can share the presentation, then Dr. Fulmali can send it to the
Yeah,
participants. This
already, I have sent it, and they are getting on this YouTube link only. So no problem, you will get it. Means all the participants, they are getting this all kind of presentations, not only Dr. Miriam, but those who required it, I will send them. Don't worry.
And
Yeah.
I like your the term anti-fragile leadership.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a
Thank you.
very good term. Being a principal, I know how difficult it is to be a leader. So I like the term anti-fragile leadership.
Yeah,
Very well presented and well done.
thank you.
Over to you, Mr. Jha.
All right. So, do you guys want me to go off here, because I think there are 6 people only who can be here. I don't have problem staying here, but if
You just
You
wait
be there,
because now
ma'am. No
we have,
problem.
okay,
yeah, we have to
You
wind up
be
now.
there. We 6 people are there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Let me first give the concluding remark. As a moderator of this 2 session, I'm really grateful to Dhanukar College, to be very particular, and my own association, IE Thane branch, for giving me this opportunity to moderate this 2 session. And this 2 technical session was fantastic session, which being in India, we can hear the person and researcher from Mexico, United States, etc., and 2 IITians. I'm first, let me do the my remark for the session which has been taken by Mr. Jesus. He has started with the event which took place in Mexico before COVID, and how the anti-social element has troubling there, and including, sir, in India also we face lot of problem, which is lack of information and wrong information inbuilt it to the community at large, and which create lot of social economical disturbance. And I am very proud that how you have covered with the extraordinary way through which you have talked about social sustainability, economical sustainability, and how these things are collaborative, your international cooperation for global strategy. That was the fantastic slide, sir. And the way you have done the hypothesis and you have created the suggestions, it was fantabulous, sir. Thank you very much for
Thanks to you.
guiding from there. And honestly speaking, we also face the same in India as well.
Okay.
And Miriam, ma'am, thank you very much from United States. You have really instigated our leadership quality from your entire speech. What we found, how the leadership is, coordinated with business, income, government, citizens, how these things are interlinked and correlated, and how nicely you stated with sidekick, that is part-time job or freelancing, and how we can build ourselves as a leader, even being the freelancer, and how an individual can become the leader for that, and how these mental, physical, emotional, and social well-being is very, very important for a leader, and how they impact the leader for keeping their decision, for taking their decisions, etc., etc. Ma'am, I'm very much obliged and thankful to sharing us both your books detail and some of part which you have shared with us, and consciousness what you have stated about 15 out of them, that 8 you have explained, and simultaneously subsequently you have explained other part. Have a vision, have a positive outlook, have a, as sir has rightly stated, anti-fragile, is creative, take the calculative risk. Actually, these all are required for a leader. This is all required for a leader, and without this, a leader cannot perform effectively. I hope you have also, instigated us to go for writing blogs, helping people in this COVID situation, whereby they can read through those blogs and they can take appropriate action. They can be safe. We can, even being individual, we can do a lot for the society. This was my remark, but I want to conclude with giving the remark to everyone. First, I'll talk in Hindi, and then I'll translate it for you in English, because I have all my 4 panelists, 4 resource person, and अजिंक्य सर, आप लोगों सबके लिए मैंने स्टार्टिंग से मैं सुन रहा हूँ पिछले 3 घंटे से ज्यादा से, because I'm organizing all the technical things, and thankful to sir and Kanchan ma'am who has keepen faith on us, all the participant. More than 4,000 we got the registration, and on live we don't know how many of them they are seeing this particular
Around
webinar
so
international.
go
सर, हम
around
लोगों ने हम लोग कह सकते हैं गौरव के साथ, हम गौरव के साथ ये कह सकते हैं कि हमारे जो 2 प्रेजेंस है, आई कैन मेक लिटिल चेंजेस, जीसस एंड मरियम के प्रेजेंस में, गौरव के साथ हम ये कह सकते हैं जीसस एंड मरियम के प्रेजेंस में आज हमने ऐसा एक बैटल क्रिएट किया है जो अजिंक्य है, जिसको कोई जीत नहीं सकता. This was something Hindi and Marathi. Ma'am, it implies proudly we can say that today we have created history in Mumbai. We have created history in Mumbai, whereby such a global people, such a scholar, and see how roller coaster round it was, from business COVID, from HRM and entertainment in COVID, from economical and social aspect in COVID, and how the leadership in COVID. What is left now? If the people will just take this YouTube things in later on also, I think it is a Bible for them for this COVID period. So on behalf of all management, my entire IA Thane branch, we are really thankful to all the panelists. और एक चीज और बोलना चाहूंगा, जैसे यहाँ पे we have extended the lockdown, and many people has taken very wrong approach for this. When the lockdown has been extended in India, okay, say don't react when the lockdown has been extended as if it is against our interest. We should happy that our country care more for human health than economy. The more we stay indoors, the less we have corona. Remember, before taking long jump, an athlete take few step back and then jump far. Consider that extended lockdown is few step back for India to take a long jump for success. Be positive and be happy. Be at home and be safe. With
I
these kind words, once again, I'm thankful to Dhanukar College. To be very thankful to our principal, Sir Doke Sir, who has given us this, and my own friend, Kanchan ma'am, who has given me this opportunity to moderate two sessions. But I've concluded all four. I found these people are also very knowledgeable and very knowledgeable.
it seems that he has lost the connection.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, as Mariam Madam said rightly, use the time constructively. And being a principal, I was not able to give time to any of my hobby. But somehow, due to compulsory lockdown, I got a time. I started writing a blog, and now it is very easy to publish it. You publish it on a Facebook, and within a minute, you start getting likes or the dislikes or comments. So this is how you can use time. But better not to get frustrated. What to do? What to do? There are many things to do at home also, and that is how positively we should look at it. Anyway, thanks to all speakers. Formal thanks will be given by my colleague, Samrat Gangurde. Samrat Gangurde, please.
Yes, sir. Hello, everyone. Honorable dignitaries, respected principals of various institutions and colleges, our most valued invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's my proud privilege to take the opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, Samrat Gangurde, on behalf of Parle Tilak Vidyalaya Associations, ML Dhanuka College of Commerce, Mumbai, Indian Accounting Association, Thane branch, and entire supporting team, extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the speakers for accepting our invitation, irrespective of the unusual timings and problems around due to COVID-19, and gracing the webinar by providing their valuable insights. We are grateful to Mr. Gaurav Puniwala for giving his practical suggestions regarding handling business during this COVID-19 period. We would like to express our sincere thanks to Mr. Ajinkya Bhasme for giving an excellent coverage for building community online, especially his quote, "Job can be done from home." Yes, sir, we will do from home also. We also wish to express our gratitude to Mr. Jesus Gomez for providing encouragement and covering the significant aspects of the society, environment, economical pressure after COVID-19 crisis. And we also would like to acknowledge our gratitude to Dr. Miriam O. Callaghan for highlighting on the aspects of competency-based leadership. We are greatly inspired by your valuable guidance. My sincere regards and gratitude is also due to our parent organization, Parle Tilak Vidyalaya Association, for the support and patronage that they always provide for this kind of noble activities. I would also like to extend our gratitude to our beloved principal, Dr. Naneshwar Doke, for his unwavering support and faith in us. I would also like to thank our dynamic Vice Principal, Srimati Chandana Chakravarti Madam, for encouraging support all the time. I would also like to express our sincere thanks to Dr. Arvind Luha Sir, Chairman, Indian Accounting Association, Thane branch, and Board of Studies, University of Mumbai, for giving his valuable time and guidance for the seminar. I also appreciate the confidence of Dr. Nishikant Jha, Secretary, Indian Accounting Association, for making the event successful. I would also like to thank Dr. Kuldeep Sharma for encouraging us throughout the process of this webinar. I also extend my thankfulness to Mr. Ajit Mr. Vignesh and Mr. Kanish for their enormous technical expertise and cooperation in organizing the event. Well, ladies and gentlemen, an event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheels started rolling weeks ago. Here I would like to appreciate our convener of webinar, Dr. Kanchan Fulmali Madam, for her untiring efforts. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated colleagues of Dhanukar College and Indian Accounting Association who know their job and are result oriented. Finally, an event of such magnitude requires the enthusiasm of participants and listeners. So, I thank all the listeners for your involvement in the event. Thank you one and all. Now, with the permission of all the dignitaries, we declare that the event has been completed. Feedback forms will be soon circulated to you. Take care, be healthy, be safe. Thank you.
Stay home, stay safe.
Yes. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.